Have you ever wondered why the pursuit of wealth is so often perceived as something wrong, selfish, or even sinful? It feels like these ideas are everywhere. Someone thinks that money is evil. Some people think that wealth is available only to those who were born with a special talent or are just incredibly lucky. And someone is generally sure that it is almost impossible to get rich because there will always be too many obstacles on the way. Have you ever been told that the desire to become rich is a bad thing, or that wealth is available only to a select few? What attitudes and beliefs about money have you heard since childhood? Share your thoughts in the comments. But let's be clear, the purpose of this conversation is not to argue with someone's personal views on money and success. Everyone is free to believe what they want. Everything that will be discussed next is for those who feel inside themselves that wealth is possible. Not for anyone out there, but for myself. Now imagine, what if someone tells you that getting rich is not just possible, but there is a very clear, reliable and working method? Almost like a formula. Apply it with faith and consistency, and it will not fail. Intrigued? Then stay, because next we will analyze the teachings of Wallace D. Wattles and his classic work, The Science of Getting Rich, first published in 1910. Wattles argued that wealth is not an accident or the lot of a select few. This is the result of certain actions, certain thinking, and a conscious direction of your energy and creative power. He didn't offer magic wands. He gave clear principles that work if you really believe that you deserve wealth and really want it. Because, as he wrote, even the wisest ideas won't work if you're held by the throat by doubt, guilt, or shame. But if you're ready to move forward, let's start with the foundation of this philosophy. Before proceeding to Wattles' formula itself, it is necessary to understand one key concept, monism. This word may seem new to you, but its essence is very simple. Monism is a philosophical position according to which everything that exists arose from one original source. Simply put, everything in this world, both matter and life, are manifestations of the same primary substance. Someone calls it God, someone calls it the universe, the source, the creator, the supreme mind. Here we will call it the primordial, formless substance. If everything comes from this creative foundation, then we, as living beings, are its manifestation. This means that we have the same ability to create. And it is this thought that becomes the foundation for everything that will happen next. Wattles taught that this primordial substance expands, creating more and more new forms of life in order to evolve through them. It's as if an infinite source wants to know itself through an infinite variety of experiences. And since we are a part of this life, it means that we have the right to develop, to grow, to realize our capabilities. And for many of us, this growth is impossible without resources. It is money that gives access to opportunities, comfort, knowledge, help for loved ones and, most importantly, expression of one's potential. Indeed, in reality, and especially in our society, financial resources open many more doors than poverty. When you have money, you can eat better, study deeper, help those you love, discover your talents, travel, build projects, create. Simply put, money gives you the space to be your real self. The freedom to be yourself is why Wallace Wattles considers the pursuit of wealth not just acceptable, but a kind of obligation to himself. Why be content with a life in which many of your desires remain unfulfilled, where what you really want remains forever out of reach? Many people believe that the path to wealth is incredibly difficult, or that it's only possible with luck, powerful connections, or special innate abilities. But Wattles argues that the process of wealth creation is subject to clear laws, just like mathematics or physics. Think about it, if money really depended only on external conditions, then all people in the same circumstances would earn the same. But this is not the case. Two people live in the same city, work in the same field, one becomes financially free, the other is not. One is incredibly talented, but poor. The other one has no special skills, but lives in prosperity. Someone saves every penny and still remains broke. But someone spends freely, and his wealth only grows. The difference, according to Wattles, is not in the outside world, but in the way a person thinks and acts. There is a clear, repeatable way of thinking and behaving that leads to prosperity. By mastering this method, you can also achieve the same thing. Another important point is no one is poor because the universe has run out of resources. Wattles asserts that the primordial substance, the formless, intelligent energy from which all things are born, is infinite. It permeates everything that surrounds us. Nature demonstrates this at every step. Forests do not stop growing, oceans are full of life, technologies are developing rapidly. If someone lives in poverty, it is not because wealth does not exist, but because their inner thinking and actions do not correspond to the principles of prosperity. Realizing that the universe is filled with infinite potential is the first step. When you accept that scarcity is just an illusion, you free your thinking from limitations. Wattles then introduces one of the key concepts: everything starts with a thought. Everything that exists is born of a living, thinking substance that takes shape in exact accordance with its thoughts. He emphasizes, what we perceive as reality is just a reflection of deep creative ideas. For example, a century ago, an oak tree began with a simple idea, a pattern that traveled through the earth, moisture, and light and eventually became a powerful tree. And because we are part of the same thinking energy, we can also shape our reality. The problem is that we too often allow external illusions, such as poverty, illness, and failure, to shape our inner state. Instead of consciously creating new images, we unconsciously obey what we see. So how do you tune into the power of creation rather than being a product of circumstances? The first step is to resist external illusions. Even if you see poverty or suffering around you, you should not allow these images to fill your imagination. It is necessary to hold on to the realization that the primary substance is infinite, intelligent, and creative. This approach requires internal discipline. It's much easier to believe in what's right in front of your eyes. But if you begin to train your ability to consciously choose to believe in abundance rather than scarcity, you will discover new horizons for yourself. It's like a mental muscle, it needs to be pumped. Each time, it will be easier to choose the abundance mindset. Wattles writes that the original creative energy has an inner desire for expansion and growth. Look at life. Every seed strives to germinate, every child strives to learn, every culture develops. This movement forward, the desire to become bigger, deeper, wiser, is also present in us. It manifests itself as our desire for success, development, and a better life. The desire to have more knowledge, better living conditions, or more harmonious relationships is not selfishness at all. On the contrary, if these aspirations come from the heart and with pure intentions, they become part of the natural process of expanding life. According to Wattles, real wealth is not created at the expense of someone else, because the source from which we draw is unlimited. We don't have to fight or compete for limited resources. Yes, it may seem naive, but Wattles argues that when we truly begin to see the universe as infinite, we free ourselves from envy, greed, and the idea that someone has to lose so that we can win. One of the most powerful ways to stay connected with this creative process is gratitude. If you really believe that there is a reasonable, formless energy that is ready and able to give you everything you need, a feeling of gratitude arises by itself. And gratitude, in turn, keeps you in resonance with the source. Every time you stop to truly appreciate what's already in your life, you strengthen your connection to this creative force that can bring you even more. But as soon as you start complaining, feeling offended, or not noticing your blessings, you literally block this flow. Gratitude works like an invisible thread, like a closed loop through which there is a constant exchange between you and the source. And on this basis, the practical part of the manifestation is already growing. Many people say that they want a certain result, but cannot attract it simply because they themselves do not fully understand what exactly they want. The primary substance, that very creative energy, reacts only to clear images and strong intentions. If your desire is vague, or changes every day, your mind will not be able to transmit a clear signal to the source. So start by forming a clear, accurate picture of what you want. Think of it as planning a trip. Are you going to start without knowing where you're going? If the goal is not defined, you will just wander into nowhere. When this painting is ready, cultivate an unshakable faith in the fact that it will definitely be realized. Feel it as if you are already living in this state. This is what Wattles calls the act as if principle. This does not mean pretending to be rich or spending mindlessly. It means to experience the state of success so deeply that both your subconscious mind and your primary substance will begin to move in this direction. When you live in this mental state, you constantly express gratitude and feel as if what you want is already yours. You are paving a direct path to the realization of your goals. It's important to remember, don't get hung up on exactly how all this will come into your life. This is the task of the universal mind. He has limitless paths, much wiser and wider than we can imagine with our limited minds. Of course, even with strong faith and clear thoughts, anxiety and doubt can creep in. They are the most insidious enemies of the manifestation process. If you allow the fear of failure or poverty to take root in yourself, you are destroying your own power of creation. And that's where willpower is important, but not in the sense of controlling others or putting pressure on external circumstances. Real will is the ability to control your attention, not to let thoughts of doubt take root. Every time you find yourself worrying, gently but surely return the focus to your picture of abundance. It's like training, a skill that develops with practice. And another key point is action. Many misunderstand this point, believing that visualizing the desires alone is enough to magically turn them into reality. Wallace Wattles clearly explains, a thought is just the beginning, but it must be followed by action. And not any action, but an action performed in a certain way. This means that you must do everything possible right in your current situation to open channels for the realization of your goal. Perhaps you need to develop new skills, establish contact with certain people, or approach your current job with more care, attention, and enthusiasm. You never know which action, big or very small, will become the spark that will trigger the chain of events leading to your result. The best way to act in harmony with your vision is to focus on the present moment. Don't wait for the perfect job, the perfect city, or an opportunity. Start right now, with what's in front of you. When you do everything to the maximum in the space where you are, this space naturally begins to expand. Imagine that you are literally overflowing your current reality so much that it no longer accommodates your potential, and it has no choice but to grow with you. If there are things that you can do well today, don't put them off until tomorrow. Approach them with focus, quality, attention to detail, and not in a hurry, just for show. It is not speed that is important here, but the quality of execution of each action. There is also an ethical aspect. Wattles emphasizes that the path to wealth must be paved with the real value that you create. Strive to give more in every interaction than you receive. If a person has paid you for a product or service, they should leave with the feeling that they have received more than they have spent. It keeps you on a creative level, not in a competitive and fighting mode. Instead of trying to beat or use others, focus on expanding their capabilities while developing your own. When people feel that interacting with you helps them grow, they will strive to work with you, support you, buy from you, and recommend you. Your wealth shouldn't be someone else's loss. It must come from an unlimited universal source, not from scarcity. Keep a sense of progress inside you throughout the journey. Let your actions and results speak for you. When others see that contact with you improves their own lives, they will reach out to you on their own. Don't brag or try to draw attention to your achievements. Let your success be evident through how you live, how you work, how you express yourself. Inspire others to do the same. If you realize that the current environment no longer supports your development, trust that a new path will open up before you. This is the law of progression in action. The formula is simple and powerful. 1. Recognize that there is a thinking, formless substance capable of fulfilling your desires. 2. Visualize in great detail what you want and keep that image in your mind. 3. Strengthen your painting with unshakable faith and sincere gratitude. 4. Use willpower to ward off distracting and negative thoughts. 5. Act every day with full engagement, creatively and consciously, making the most of your current place. 6. Always give more value than you take in order to stay in harmony with the infinite source. 7. Trust that this creative force will begin to influence people, events, and circumstances in a way that will bring you closer to what you want. If you follow these steps consistently, money and opportunities will start coming into your life.